Hello, students. Welcome to your economics class. I am Mrs. Jenny Shah, and I shall be teaching you all economics this year.
So we have completed first part of the chapter, the story of village Palampur. Today we will continue that. So we will learn about the land in Palampur. Let's start. So last class we all saw the factors of production. Now, if you look at the land in Palampur, we know that land is fixed. It is the main production activity in Palampur, and 75% of the people, they are dependent on farming for their livelihood. Now, these people who are dependent on the farming could also be farmers, and they could also be farm laborers. The well-being of these people are closely related to the production that happens on the farm. They're very closely connected with farming. Now, there's a major restriction or a major obstacle with this. That is that the land that is under cultivation, it is practically fixed. Since 1960, you can say that there has been no expansion in the land area in under cultivation. Now, since you cannot increase the land and you want, and our needs are increasing, we all have more needs. How will you meet the ends? So then some wastelands in the village had been converted to cultivable lands, but now there is no further scope of any expansion. So that means there can be no new land that can be brought under cultivation. Okay, one thing I want to just note here is the standard unit for measuring land is hectare. Okay, yeah. Now we know that the land is fixed and we all want to always earn more from a fixed amount of land. How is it possible to earn more? There is one way that we can grow more crops on the same piece of land. We already know that all land that is there in Palampur is cultivated and no land is left idle. So what they do is during the rainy season, the farmers grow jawar and bajra. Okay. And then these plants are used as cattle feed. They feed it to the cattle. And then they start growing potato between October to December. In the winter season, the fields are sown with wheat. They grow wheat. They store the wheat. And when this wheat is produced, the farmers keep the amount they need for themselves. And the surplus, is whatever is left is sold in the market. They go to Raiganj and they sell it in the market. Now, one part of land is also devoted to sugarcane, and sugarcane is harvested once every year. So, sugarcane is either sold in its raw form or it is uh, you know treated and it is made into jaggery and then it is sold into to all the traders in Shapur. Why do you think farmers are able to grow three different crops in a year in Palampur? Can you think of the reason why these farmers can grow three different crops on the same land in 1 year in Palampur? Yes, because of the system of irrigation. We already know that Palampur is a well developed village. Electricity has come early, and its major impact was the system of irrigation. So, till irrigation was not there, Persian wheel systems were used, and farmers used to draw water from the wells and irrigate their small fields. But when the people saw that electric run tube wells can irrigate much larger area of land and more effectively, the first few tube wells were installed by the government. And then when they saw that this is more effective, farmers starting to uh, install them on their own. They started setting up private tube wells for themselves. So by the mid 1970, the entire cultivated area, that is complete 200 hectares of land, was irrigated. And because of this electricity that came early, the farmers in Palampur can grow 3 crops in 1 year. Okay. Remember, children, not all villages have this level of irrigation in India. So, apart from the riverine plains, coastal regions in our country are well irrigated. In contrast, the plateau region, such as the Deccan Plateau, they have low level of irrigation. So you can say on an average, out of the total cultivated land in the country, a little less than 40% is only irrigated today. The remaining area, farming still depends on the rainfall. Now, this entire uh, idea or this entire process of growing more than one crop on one piece of land during 1 year is known as multiple cropping. This is the most common way of increasing production, and all farmers in Palampur, they grow at least 2 crops. Most of them also grow potato as the third crop. Okay. Now the Green Revolution that came in the late 1960s, it introduced Indians, it introduced Indian farmers to cultivation of wheat and rice using HYV. HYV is high yielding varieties of seeds. So they got these seeds were manufactured in a way that they could give better return. So compared to the traditional way of uh, the traditional seeds that we had, these HYV seeds, they promised a better produce. So, so basically, the HYV seeds, they promised much better production compared to our traditional seeds. So our traditional seeds gave a relatively low yield, and HYV gave a higher yield. This is another method by which we can increase production on the same piece of land. So what happened is farmers were using cow dung and other natural manure as fertilizers. And these were readily available with farmers, and they did not need to buy anything. But when the Green Revolution came and Indian farmers started to use HYV seeds, okay, which were promising a better produce, much greater amount of grains, one single plant. And so the same piece of land would now produce larger quantities of food grains. What happened is HYV now needed lots of water, plenty of water, and they needed chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Only then they could give you the best results. So now farming became expensive. Up till now, traditional seeds were being used. Irrigation was done with Persian wheels or rainfall, and it was working. But when they shifted to high yielding variety of seeds, they did get better results, but they had to invest more money. So farmers of Punjab, Haryana, and Western Uttar Pradesh, these were the first to try out the modern farming methods. The farmers in these regions, they set up the tube wells for irrigation. They made use of the HYV seeds and they used the chemical fertilizer and pesticides in farming. Some of them even bought the farm machineries that were required, like tractors and threshers, and so plowing and harvesting became more faster. And what did they get in return when they invested so much? They got high yield of wheat. So now, when we started doing all these things to the land, the question that arose was, will the land sustain? Land is a natural resource and we have to be very careful with its use. There are scientific reports that indicate that these modern farming methods have overused the natural resource base. There are so many areas where this green revolution has been associated with the loss of soil fertility. And this is because of the increased use of chemical fertilizers. Also, since we are continuously using tube wells, our groundwater is being depleted faster. Our water table is reducing. So environmental resources that we have, like soil fertility, groundwater, these are all built up over the years. These are replenished by the nature, but very slowly. And we are destroying it faster. So once destroyed, it is very difficult to restore them. We must take care of environment to ensure future development of agriculture.
So it is important that we take methods, we select methods that will sustain the land in the future. Because once these lands are destroyed, it's very difficult to restore them. So now this is bringing us to the end of today's lesson, and this is your work. Um, I want you to draw the picture of all the crops that are grown in Palampur in your notebooks. And besides the crop that you draw, I want you to write the name of that crop, the month in which it is sown, and the month in which it is harvested. Besides this, you will brainstorm these reasonings and these questions and list out the answers in your notebooks. The first one is, I want you to do a difference between multiple cropping and modern farming methods, minimum two. Next is, what is the working capital that is required by a farmer who is using modern farming methods? I want you to brainstorm and list out these answers. And the last one is that modern farming methods will require the farmer to start with some more cash than before. And why is it so, and what are the reasons? So I want you to do this work in your notebooks and keep ready so that in the next Zoom's lesson we can have a discussion about it. With this, children, we have come to the end of this class. Stay home, stay safe, take care, keep learning.